We'll be starting with the second model, that is your entity relationship model, relational model, and extended ER model. So this is a second model in which you will be studying three models which are used in case of your database. Out of these three models, we have already seen a relational model, uh, that our data is stored in the forms of your rows and columns. So we have just seen the introduction to that model. In this model, in this unit, we will be seeing just the definitions of your, what are the different types of keys. But majority of your model focuses on your entity relationship model and your extended ER model. Okay. So outline for today's discussion is, we will be starting with introduction to ER diagram and what is the significance of ER diagram in DBMS. Then we will see what are the various components of ER diagram. There are three components: entity, attributes, and relationships. We will see what are the different types of entities, what are different types of attributes, and what are the relationships which exist between the attributes, and what are different types of relationships. Okay. Then we will see a real world example for ER diagram. Suppose you are given one problem definition, then how to draw the ER diagram with different symbols in it. We will be seeing it. Then we will see what are the different types of keys in relational model. Then we will proceed ahead that for a second model, that is a extended ER model. In this model, there is a concept of specialization, generalization, and aggregation. And finally, we will see how to convert ER and EER model to the relational model. So this is the outline of today's discussion. I think so we will not be able to cover conversion of EER to relational in the 2 hour session. I will try my level best to cover this, but if not possible, we will cover this in the next lecture. Okay. Because all the topics which are given in this model are very important with respect to your exam also, and with respect to your software designing also. Okay. So first we will start with your entity relationship model, that is known as ER model. In exam, you are given a problem definition. Based on that problem definition, you have to draw a pictorial representation of the ER model. So in ER model, what you are doing, suppose you want to develop a software. So what you do, you go to a company and you try to gather the requirements from the end user. When you are gathering that requirements, at that time you are enlisting what are the requirements of the user and converting it into a pictorial format, and that pictorial format becomes your ER model. So first we will see what is the significance of ER model. The significance or benefits of ER model. The first benefit is it is assisting the database developer. What I mean by assist means, whenever you are drawing the requirements on paper, the programmer can very easily know what are the entities in this database design, what are the relationships between the design. Okay. As I said, it helps you in requirement gathering. Also, it is a documentation tool. Why documentation? Because when you are drawing pictorial representation, so the person who is not able to understand database, even by seeing that pictorial representation, he is able to understand what is the core of database. Okay. It also helps you to understand what is the logic of your database. What are the, because we have seen that in a 3-level architecture, the second level is dealing with your logical structures. Okay. So with the help, when you are converting the ER into the relational by using the rules, you are able to design the logical structure for your database. Okay. And finally, it is the blueprint of your database. Why blueprint? Because it is just a reflection of your database. So now let's start with the components of ER. There are three components of ER. First one is entity, second is attribute, and third one is your relationship. Okay. So first we will go to the entity. What is entity? Entity is nothing but any real world object in your which you want to store in your database. Okay. For example, a student can be an entity, a teacher can be an entity, okay, a car can be an entity. Okay, so keep in mind that entity is any real world object which can have certain properties. Okay, so that properties of the entity are known as attributes. Okay, so when I say a student is an entity, what can be the attributes of the student? Yes, anybody?
Name, class.
Yes, right. So in the relational database, we have seen that whatever attributes we are mentioning in the table, they are your characteristics or properties of your particular entity. Okay. Now, there can be certain relationship which can exist between two entities. Suppose I am taking two entities like student and teacher. So there is a relationship that teacher teaches student. Okay, so that relationship is the association between two or more entities. Okay, as in the slide, see, I have shown the example. A car is an entity, a student is also an entity. Okay, there are two entities, car and student. If I take the attribute of a car, the color of the car can be the attribute, name of student can be the entity, can be the attribute. Okay, so suppose I want to establish a relationship between car and student. So student drives a car, or a blue car belongs to the student with name XYZ, or a Jack. Okay, so such a type of relationships exist between your database. Okay, so this pictorial representations are known as your in ER diagram. If you are showing a relationships, that becomes your association between the entities. So is it clear? Many times a question is asked in examination, explain the components of ER diagram. So there are three components: entity, attributes, relationships. Entity is nothing but a real world object. Attribute are the properties of entities, and the association which exists between the entity, it becomes your relationships. Is it clear? Any doubts? Yes, any doubts? Am I going fast? Please let me know, because this is just a one-way communication. Is
No,
the
ma'am.
speed okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So let's go to the second slide. Now we will see a detailed, as we have seen that there are three components: entity, attributes, and relationships. So entities can be two types: strong entity and a weak entity. Okay, so strong entity is an entity which has its own primary key to uniquely identify the record. Okay, what is primary key? Anybody?
And primary key are definite the field whose
Mhm.
data is unique to each record of our
Yes.
table.
For example,
For example, if we have a patient database, then patient ID will become a primary key because it will be unique to each and every record in our database.
yes, yes, Mir is right. See, we have seen a definition of primary key. So if any of the entity, suppose I'm taking an example of student. In student, do you have a primary key? Yes. Student ID will definitely identify every unique student. So in that case, student becomes your strong entity. Okay, but suppose in a company I am keeping track, or take an example of college only. In college I am recording teachers information. In another table I am putting the information of my family members. So that table, will it have a primary key? Yes, anybody? Just try to understand. In one table, I am putting the information of all the teachers. In the another table, I am recording the information of my family members. Is there any need that I will have to put a foreign key of teacher ID in second table?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
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 No? Then how will I come to know which are the family members of teacher XYZ?
Teacher's name can be used.
But this means that one of the attribute of your first table is going into second table.
Yes.
So indirectly, you are linking two tables.
Yes.
Okay, but teacher's name can be same for two teachers.
No.
No, no.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So in that case, what will be the primary key of first table?
From the index number can also be a primary key.
Yeah. No, suppose index number or a surrogate key, we will come to that point. But same one thing, suppose in a teacher table, you will be taking teacher ID as a primary key. Right?
Yes.
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 Okay. So in the second table, there will be a need to add teacher ID.
Yes.
Yes. Because if you are not putting teacher ID, how will you come to know which are the family members of which teacher? There will be no way. So teacher ID will become a foreign key in the second table, right?
Yes.
Okay. What will be the primary key of second table if I am not putting surrogate key in that table? Can I use teacher ID as a primary key in the second table? Just think logically.
No.
Can you use teacher ID as a primary key in the second table?
No, ma'am.
No. What
No,
is the
ma'am.
reason?
Ma'am, there could be more than one family member who belong to one teacher.
Exactly. So there can be multiple family members. So what you will do, what will be the primary key of this table then? It will be a combination of teacher ID and name of my family member. Taking into consideration that my family members have a unique names. Right? Okay. So this means that your second table is not capable of forming its own primary key. It has to take help of the primary key of another table as a foreign key. Such a type of entity becomes your weak entity. Is the definition clear now? So the first table of teacher becomes your strong entity. Why? Because it has its own attribute with which it can form a primary key. Okay. But the second table of family members, there is no attribute by which you can form a primary key and establish a relationship between family members and teachers. Hence, it is taking help of foreign key to form the primary key. Okay. And such entities are known as weak entity. In the example, we will see what is a weak entity with a real life example. Right now, is the difference clear?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have any doubt, please ask, because these are very important concepts.
Ma'am,
Yes. Yes.
if we make
Your voice is breaking. Hello. Yeah, nahi.
yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, what I thought that we could make like a family member group ID number. Inside that ID, we have suppose one teacher's family has 5 members, and so that way family
But
ID
still, you
as
will have to
teacher
establish
to
a
teacher.
relationship between a teacher and family members.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So this means that it doesn't have. what are the attributes of family members? Name of family member, age, okay, and suppose relationship. So if you are taking only these attributes, are you able to establish a relationship between a teacher and the family member? No. You will have to link your family teacher ID with this entity. So this means that your family entity is dependent on the value of the another entity that becomes your weak entity. Got it?
Yes,
When you
ma'am.
see a real life example now, then you can understand why it is a weak entity. Okay. Right now, keep in mind a strong entity is an entity which is not dependent on any other entity for formation of primary key, and a weak entity is an entity which is dependent on another entity to form the primary key. Now see the symbols. Your strong entity is always denoted by a rectangle symbol. Okay, rectangle is used to show a strong entity, and weak entity can be shown with a double rectangle. You can see my arrow. Weak entity can be shown with a double rectangle. Okay, that represents the weak entity. Okay, now we will go. There are various types of attributes: simple attribute, composite, derived, single valued, and your multi-valued attribute. Simple attributes are the normal attributes which can be represented. Like suppose your student ID, it is a simple attribute. It has a single value. Composite attribute is suppose your name can be divided into first name, middle name, last name. Okay, so that becomes your composite. Composite means you can divide that attribute into multiple parts. So composite attribute. Next come derived attribute. If suppose I am deriving some values from some given value, that is suppose age can be derived from date of birth. Okay, so that becomes my derived attribute whose value is not actually stored, but it can be derived. Single valued means there can be a single value which can be stored in your uh, simple attribute. If in a simple attribute you are storing multiple values, it becomes your multi-value attribute. So just see the symbols. Your oval represent simple attribute. Composite attribute can be shown second last with showing the parts. I have shown the original with showing the parts, like I have shown the two parts. Derived attribute can be shown with a dotted circle. Why? Because it is not actually stored in your database, but it is derived from some other attribute. Okay. Multi-valued attribute can be shown by your double oval. Why? Because it is your multi-value. Okay, and single value you are showing with your oval only. Then we come to the relationships. There are four types of relationships: unary, binary, ternary, and n-array. The name is only saying unary means if a relationship is existing between entity itself, okay, that becomes unary relationship. If the relationship is existing between two entities, it becomes your binary relationship. If that relationship exists between three entities, then it becomes a ternary. And n-array means more than three. That becomes n-array relationships. So any doubts in the components and types of entity relationship model? If you have any doubt, please ask. Shall we proceed?
Ma'am, can you give an example of unity relationship?
Yes, when we will see in the next real life example now, you will come to know what is the example. For example, suppose I am a teacher, okay, and there is, suppose I want to find out the HOD. So every teacher is not a HOD. The HOD can be one of the teacher only, but so this means that in a employee relationship, I am finding who is the head of all the employees. So that becomes your unary. In the real life example, you will see this. Okay. Any other doubts? Shall we proceed? Shall we proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Next definition comes a cardinality in the relationships. Whenever a relationships are related to two or more employees, okay, a cardinality always exists between the relationship. Four types of cardinalities are present. That is one to one to many to one, and many to one, many to many. Okay. There are various notations to show this cardinalities, but usually while drawing, we are using a chain notation. There are other notation like crow's foot, batchman. You can see the syntax how these notations are shown on the internet, but maximum of your ER diagrams, they are using a chain notation. Now see, one to one, just see, there is a relationship, employee is manages. So now there are four cardinalities which are present: one to many to one, many to one, and many to many. So we are using a chain notation. So there are four types of cardinalities which are present. We are using a chain notation. First example, just see, there are two entities, employee and department. So employee is managing the department. Okay. So how many employees will be managing a department? There will be one employee. Okay. If I take an example, there is a computer department, and a computer department has one employee as a HOD. So every department will have one employee as a HOD, and there will be only one HOD who is managing computer department. So this becomes your one to one. In your relationship, you are showing a writing one and one. Okay. Is it clear? First case, one to one cardinality.
Yes,
Now
ma'am.
suppose if I want to see one to many, you are going to DMart. Okay. So you as a customer, you can place many orders. So in that case, N represents many. Okay. But if you see customer order, a customer order will have only one customer in one order. So that becomes your 1:n relationship. Is it clear? Just see, just note where you are writing N. One customer places multiple orders. Hence, on this side, N is written. Okay. But one order can have only one customer. Hence, one is written on the customer side. Okay. Many to one is reverse. Suppose one employee belongs to only to one department, but one department can have many employees. So that becomes N as to 1. Whenever you are writing these notations, you are writing 1:1, 1:n, n:1. And for many to many, you are writing M:n. Suppose M as to N relationship, one student can register to multiple organizations. Means one student can register to sports committee, cultural committee. Okay. But uh, if you take a case of sports committee, then there can be multiple students. Hence, this relationship is known as your MS to N relationship. Are the cardinalities clear? Any doubts, please ask, because these notations you will require to draw your ER diagram. Any doubt? Shall we proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
No. Next comes your participation constraint in your relationship. These are all the symbols which you have to show. Now participation constraint means, suppose there are 50 students in your class. Will all 50 students participate in the sports committee?
No.
No. Okay. So such a type of participation is known as partial participation. Okay. But suppose if there are 50 students, okay, will every student have a branch?
Yes.
Yes.
So such type of participation becomes your total participation. Got it? So the difference between total and partial is, I have given you example. See, a professor guides the student. It is not necessary that if there are 10 professors in the department, they all are guides for the final year students. Okay. So professor is a partial participation. And if you take a case of students, will every final year student who is doing a project will have a guide? Yes, as a professor. So that your student side becomes a total participation. Got it? I have given you another example of book and chapter. Every book, every chapter will be there in a book. But it is not necessary that in every book it is organized as a chapter. Some books can be just a serially with all the contents. Got it? So this is your participation constraint.